All right, more action going final. Lions and Saints. I mean, Lions scored like 80% of their points in the first 6 minutes of this ball game. 33-28, it was enough, but up 21-0 and just sort of stuck in neutral for the remainder. The Saints did push late. Derek Carr, Taysom Hill, both teaming up to move this team down the field. Alvin Kamara did see the end zone twice, as did a throwback. 1 reception, or 6 yards, and a touchdown for the former, and again, New Orleans Saint, Jimmy Graham. But it comes at a loss as the Saints try and remain relevant atop their division.
Shout out to Jimmy Graham.
Always worth a shout out to Jimmy Graham, one of the greats in the game. Great to see him in the end zone again. I want to start positive with the Detroit Lions. We're not going to stay there, but I want to start there. I mean, the rookie talent and the way they've matured, yes, we're seeing it in Houston, but also in Detroit. I mean, there are playmakers and people affecting the game plan at all levels that are seeing some of their earliest action in the NFL. What have you made of that rookie grouping, and how affirming is that for a front office that brought those guys in?
Right, because they took a lot of flack from everyone outside of myself on draft night about what they did in the draft. So shout out to the Detroit Lions and what they were able to do selecting and acquiring talent. But you talked about those 3 touchdowns in the first 6 minutes or so. You had a big run by Gibbs that led to a touchdown. Sam Laporta got himself a touchdown. And you also saw the interception by Brian Branch off of a tip pass, was able to scoop it and get them in position for another score. So you have impact guys as rookies making impact plays, determining the outcome of a ball game. So Detroit not only nailed the draft, but they're getting guys that can help them right away. And all of those guys should be on all rookie teams this postseason based on what they've done so far during the regular season.
It was Gibbs early. It was Laporta early. It was all early because this is a Detroit team that I don't know if they lost focus or the game plan changed, in-game adjustment by the Saints. I mean, what did you see that slowed them down? It was 21-0 in the blink of an eye. We had the researchers looking up, I mean, duration, span, 3 touchdowns, 21-0. It was borderline historic stuff. And then from there, not a whole lot. What do you attribute that to? Because we're coming off of a Packer loss and a game against the Bears that they very well could have lost. Like, what's the feeling coming out of this win? Because I don't think it was the get-right one that they were looking for.
We tend to look at games in, okay, can this team win a certain way all season long? Well, it's tough to win in the NFL, and it's tough to win the same way. You're going to have to win some blowouts. You're going to have to win ugly. You're going to have to stay the course in some games, and that's what this was for Detroit. The New Orleans Saints, to me, got their sea legs underneath them. They were able to find some rhythm. They started to find a passing game, find some big chunk plays on the ground, and then ultimately made this a closer game. Now, they were able to knock out Derek Carr. Not something that you go into a game looking to do, but you brought in the backup quarterback in Jameis Winston. There's a little bit of a spark. They got down and scored a touchdown, but then Detroit had to show itself again and say, hey, we need to stop. We need to get the ball back, and they did that, and they were able to ice the game with taking a knee at the end.
You know, we were standing at the end of the hall before we came into the studio, and I was holding the door for you, and it was no, you go ahead. No, I insist. You go. No, you go. It's sort of what we're looking at right now in the South. We have Atlanta coming away with a win over the Jets and taking back the lead in that division at 6-6. Who are the New Orleans Saints in terms of their, I guess, relative to their next closest opponent in that division in the Falcons? Who do you expect to see when the dust settles come Week 18? Like, who's the better team between those two?
The Falcons are the better team because they have that beat me last on their record. They knocked off New Orleans Saints a couple of weeks ago, and the Saints have more questions at quarterback, honestly, than the Falcons do, because I feel like New Orleans, they're not playing their best guy, which is Jameis Winston. And you see that permeate throughout the rest of the offense. No one respects the passing game because they don't fear Derek Carr. With Jameis Winston, you at least have to fear the deep ball, and now that allows you to get Taysom Hill in there and run quarterback power and do things that he does. Alvin Kamara now has more room to run the football because teams are not just teeing off on a run game. And defensively, they are a bit banged up, but they do play inspired ball. You saw them settle down in this ball game against Detroit after giving up those 3 scores early. Obviously, the offense put them in the backed up situation, but when their defense started to get it going, this still looks like a team that can compete for the postseason and catch the Falcons in this division, but they have to start Jameis Winston if they want that to happen.
I forget who I heard say it. I wish I could attribute it, but it is the most perfect explanation of watching Jameis Winston play football. It's like Taco Bell. You know it's not a good idea, but it's awesome. Like, you want it. We want Jameis. It's a mistake, but it might make you better. I don't know if Taco Bell makes you better. Might have lost the plot there. Emery Hunt, that's how we see the Lions and Saints. Let's take a look at how it all went down between the Lions and Saints.